Hello everybody, it's the King of EloHell here, and if you know who that is, you probably love Mordekaiser. If you don't know who that is, you're probably currently Mordekaiser curious, and that's probably because he's being reworked. Now, for those of you guys who have been waiting for me to upload a video in light of his leak, his information release, now that we kind of know what his skills do, what he sort of looks like, I apologize for taking so long to get back to you. I've honestly been suffering in multiple ways. First off, physically, if you can't tell, I have a cold. My voice is much deeper than usual. On the plus side, this means I'm really good at Mordekaiser impersonations for like probably another 24 hours. So, you need only click once, fool. Yeah, that wasn't very good. Anyways, and the other thing is mentally, spiritually, I'm kind of hurting, guys. I knew Mordekaiser was going to be reworked, and going forward, I really just wanted three things to remain the same no matter what. I wanted him to remain. I wanted his shield passive to stay. I honestly wanted to keep his shield passive. It greatly affected his ability to trade in a multitude of lanes. It made Mordekaiser's build pathing very flexible. Tanky Mord was viable because his max shield scaled with his max HP. It's also iconic in that there was nothing like it in the game. Mordekaiser was truly unique in this aspect. The second thing I wanted Mordekaiser to keep, or rather not have, was a lack of CC and mobility. My fellow Mordekaiser players, you can attest to how frustrating it is to be kited as Mordekaiser. But at the same time, you can also attest to how rewarding it was to finally catch the enemy carry out of position and successfully obtain their ghost. Mordekaiser's positioning was very, very, very important, and because of his lack of mobility, Mordekaiser was more or less a wheelchair champion that was very, very, very powerful, but needed his teammates to get behind him and push. Teammates who didn't understand how your W ally heal works aren't going to go in with you, even though you're pinging them to. So I actually made a regular practice of coaching my teammates on how to use Mordekaiser's W all the time so that we could go in and make team fights happen. Honestly, the lack of CC and mobility on Mordekaiser makes him an underdog champ. It was one of the reasons I picked him up 9 years ago. As the only champion in the game with neither gap close, escapes, crowd control, or a way to consistently and reliably speed himself up, Mordekaiser was truly a champion to underestimate, right? It was for this reason that most people never actually tried to figure out what Mordekaiser is or what he can do. They were only interested in flashy champs that offered quick satisfaction. Mastering Mordekaiser took real effort and an interest in reading the map. Like a general, mastering Mordekaiser meant your gameplay transcended the meta because a champion with a kit like his wasn't supposed to work in this game. But it did. It worked very, very well. The number of challenger Mordekaiser mains can attest to that. Finally, the thing I wanted to keep most as far as Mordekaiser's playstyle goes, and this is the thing that hurts me the most. This is why I haven't been very vocal on my social media, why I haven't really gone out to tell everybody what it is I hate about the rework, is his ultimate. I'll be the first in line to tell you that Mordekaiser's ultimate is pretty bad. It's a 10-second curse, and it's a damage over time, so once every second for 10 seconds, the enemy cursed, afflicted by your curse, takes damage. And the frustrating thing about this is that it's very counterable. With just a health potion or one heal or a shield, a person you thought was going to die won't die. And the only thing that makes Mordekaiser's W moderately viable right now is because Liandry's is so overpowered. But if you manage to get the ghost, some amazing things were possible. Honestly, I don't care about keeping the Dragon Ghost. I could easily do without the 10-second ultimate duration. But at the end of the day, one thing I still care about is the ability to secure and micro enemy ghosts. When Mordekaiser was first released in February of 2010, he gave League something it desperately needed. He gave people a way to carry 4v5s. Back in the day before ranked, players didn't always respect the game enough to see each game through to the end, and often you'd find yourself in a 5v4 or a 4v5. And the really cool thing about Mordekaiser was that that he could even make a 3v5 game into a 4v4. Mordekaiser was a champion that made League fun and fair to play. he was a champion that truly evolved too. You see, as ranked came about and the meta evolved and became more objective focused, Mordekaiser's ultimate did something really interesting, and the 2015 rework actually made it even better. Despite the fact that they nerfed Mordekaiser's ult radius, his ult range, right? Being able to secure a ghost at level 6 meant you had a ghost for 45 seconds. At level 11, you had a ghost for 60 seconds. At level 16, you had the ghost for 75 seconds. Now, a new player doesn't know how to micro their pet, and they'll waste the ghost. It'll die under tower. They won't micro it effectively. They won't get all the damage out. They can't even kite with it, right? But a master Mordekaiser player used that ghost for the full 75 seconds. They would even heal their ghost using the W on camps to keep it alive longer, all right? The play potential around Mordekaiser's ultimate is incredible, and it's one of the things that actually makes Mordekaiser the master of macro. So for those of you guys that don't know, macro is the ability to read the map, prioritize certain objectives, and really just kind of take over the map one play at a time. You grab the mini-map by the balls and you squeeze and you don't let go. That's how Mordekaiser's meant to be played currently. That's actually one thing that really frustrates me with the Riot development team. If you watch their latest video talking about the process of reworking Mordekaiser, they talk about how Mordekaiser's kit doesn't really fit into his lore, into their vision of a dark warlord conqueror. However, as another Mordekaiser main eloquently put it, I don't see anything that fits it more than a kit that accentuates, that emphasizes macro play. What's more warlord-esque than literally conquering one section of the map at a time, from top lane to dragon, taking dragon level 6 behind enemy tower, diving bot lane level 6 to getting first tower, or level 6 you manage to kill the enemy top laner and you get a whole bunch of plates and you manage to take first tower before 7 minutes because after you kill the top laner the first time, your jungler is there and as soon as he teleports back to lane, you kill him again. The microing potential, the macro potential for Mordekaiser is so huge and it's so underappreciated. Mordekaiser's ultimate is truly something that, in my opinion, fit his model a lot. And the thing that kills me the most is that I've spent 9 years learning how to micro ghosts. And in less than 2 weeks, that mechanic, all that skill I've developed, will be for naught. And I don't know what to do about that. There's nothing I can do about that. People are already super excited about Mordekaiser's ultimate. I mean, there's memes, even admittedly hilarious memes being made. And the hype train is real. People have drank the Kool-Aid. And the voice of one Mordekaiser main, even the world's most enthusiastic Mordekaiser main, doesn't seem to matter to the community, to the other Mordekaiser mains, or to, most importantly, Riot Games. So, now that you understand what it is I regret losing about Mordekaiser, let's talk about what Mordekaiser looks like and, what it can do. And, I might get kind of emotional in this video because I put a lot of time into this champion. And, a lot of people will look at me and they'll probably cringe and say, dude, it's just a fucking video game. Get a life, right? But you don't understand. This has been my life for a really long time. I don't know why I'm getting emotional about it, to be honest. But let's just talk about the VGU, okay? So I wrote some things, and I'm just going to read them off for you. So let's just get picky, okay? Mordekaiser mains have been complaining about the pizza feet for years, and if you look at the character model in-game, his legs are looking like he skips leg day now. If you look at the models just straight ahead, they look fine, but in-game when he's walking, his legs look way too thin. So he's very top-heavy, very bottom-thin, and, it looks kind of like Darius. The second thing that really bothers me, obviously, is his helmet. Mordekaiser currently has 3 horns. One really long one. Mine's a little bit too long, but I made this really memey because I want to make people laugh. I want people to enjoy me when I'm live, So really long horn, side horns, right? And I've made all kinds of memes around this. I liked to joke that because he pays HP for his spells, because he has no escapes, because he has a gigantic horn, and because he can heal his allies, that he was actually Soraka in disguise. And I thought that was hilarious. But with the rework, this horn is entirely gone, and it has been replaced by two Aatrox Beetleborg looking horns that extend all the way out, and it's very interesting to see. On some of the skins it looks pretty badass, on other skins it looks really gross. For example, the Dragon Knight Mordekaiser skin, which was formerly my favorite skin. I loved the color scheme, I loved the dragon on the cape, and I loved its exclusivity. It was a skin that I could use that would show other people, at least back in the day before they re-released it from the vault, that I made Mordekaiser and I've played him for a long time. And that's kind of how Riot Games makes their money, is by playing on people's vanity. You get the best skin because it looks good and because you want people to know, I love this champion so much and I'm really good at him because I have a skin. That's not necessarily the way it works, but that's the mentality, and that's why people get skins. So for me, Dragon Knight Mordekaiser was my favorite because it looked cool to me and it was very exclusive, and it's always been my favorite. But the new Dragon Knight Mordekaiser skin doesn't have the same colors. Its cape is either gone or almost entirely gone. It's been replaced by a little miniature cape, I think. There's no dragon on the cape, and he's actually a Dragon Knight, which isn't a bad premise. However, his horns look like a moth antenna instead. Next, his mace. Okay, so when I wrote this, I was raw on emotion, and I gotta be honest, after watching some of the videos, the current Mordekaiser mace is actually growing on me. I will give it a chance. However, I want it to be stated that despite the design being eerily similar to Thresh's lantern on a stick, Mordekaiser is not a Shadows Isle champion. Not in his current lore, and not in his supposedly updated lore. So far, but we don't know that for sure yet. Mordekaiser is also not Noxian, alright? There's a lot of misconceptions going around about that. Mordekaiser actually predates both of these regions, and he comes from, quote, an unknown land, and he moved his base of operations to what would eventually become Noxus, and it was before then called the Immortal Bastion, which is incidentally where he died. Last but not least, for the things I don't like about the VGU, I mentioned it before, the fact that Mordekaiser appears to not have any large capes. The few skins that do have capes, you can barely see them in the previews we've been allowed to see so far. And to be honest, it really looks like Edna Mode from the hero movie Incredibles was in charge of the skins redesign. Mordekaiser doesn't feel like Mordekaiser without some big-ass capes. Honestly, I thought he was a conquering warlord, and instead he just looks like a really buff Jarvan skin instead, because Jarvan's one of those people with lots of armor but never wears a cape. Mordekaiser wears a cape, and the fact that he doesn't have one really bothers me, you know? So, before I get into Mordekaiser's current rework, I want to address something I haven't publicly talked about in a while, or at all, honestly. A lot of my fans asked me why I wasn't part of the rework, and I honestly thought I was going to be. I thought I made all the right moves. I thought I positioned myself perfectly to be in the rework, and I wasn't. And I want to state first and foremost, I bear Malicious Metal and Manute, if I'm saying his name right. I don't bear them any bad will, any ill will. They deserved it, and yeah, I'm happy for them, right? The thing is, I have more mastery than both of them. I live far closer to Riot HQ than either of them. They live on the other side of the planet. I asked over a year in advance to be a part of the rework. I received promises from multiple Rioters that my name would be pushed through to the design team and that I would be mentioned at the table. I was told that when the day came and my name was brought up, that apparently 6 months before I'd even begun talking to Riot Games about being a part of the rework, I was told that Malicious Metal had been promised a chance at the rework, and one of the people in charge basically said, if Malicious Metal's not in the rework, no Mordekaiser main will be. Now, it's their game. They can do whatever they want. The part I'm really salty about isn't that I didn't get picked. The thing that's really got me all fucked up here and here is I don't know what I did wrong. I live 2 hours away from Riot HQ. I have 4 million mastery. I've mained him since his release. I've been active on every community imaginable, Facebook, Twitter, boards, the forums before they were boards. I regularly communicated with Riot Games. I played a lot of League of Legends. I made YouTube videos. I made content for League of Legends. And for the life of me, I could not and still cannot understand why I was rejected. And that messes with you, right? It makes you wonder, what do they think of me? What did I do wrong? And this feeling has been compounding over these past couple weeks because, unfortunately, my opinions on Mordekaiser are not shared by not only the community in general, but even, as a majority goes, the Mordekaiser mains community itself. I don't know what to make of it, honestly. It's really disconcerting to pour 9 years of your life into one champion, to feel like you really understand him in depth through a multitude of years, and then when you speak with your brotherhood, the people who should understand Mordekaiser just as well as you do, who obviously do understand Mordekaiser just as well as you do, for them to disagree with you, not here and there, but as the vast majority, it means, once more, what's wrong with me? And that's something I'm having to come to terms with as I talk about this rework. People have accused me of gatekeeping Mordekaiser, and I can see it. Some people say that change is inevitable. You need to accept it. I can concede that point. I can also agree that I have been gatekeeping in some instances. But it's hard to not gatekeep when people who literally don't know how to play current Mordekaiser think they should have an opinion on his rework. I cannot tell you the number of people I have encountered who say Mordekaiser is bad and then don't know how to use his ally heal and get really excited to play with me once I teach them how to use it. One of the biggest issues with Riot Games and Mordekaiser was that they never released a champion spotlight for Mord. I asked for one in 2010, 2011. Freak himself promised me one. No champion spotlight was delivered. Mordekaiser was reworked again in 2015. Again, for some reason, they released a new reworked champion with no champion spotlight. And so, Mordekaiser's W, being literally the longest skill description in the game, went unnoticed by the majority of the community, and nobody understood how great Mordekaiser really is. So for me, as a Mordekaiser main, it's frustrating because it feels like no one's given Mordekaiser a chance. It's frustrating because it feels like Riot Games never gave me a chance. Now that's all I have to say about that. Again, I am genuinely happy for Malicious Metal, and I genuinely believe he was a good pick for this. Malicious Metal has been with me toe-to-toe on the forums since day one, pushing for Mordekaiser changes, trying to teach people about how cool Mordekaiser is, making art. He's a stand-up guy, and he deserved the opportunity. So he has my blessing in this regard. We do not always agree. In fact, we rarely agree on what Mordekaiser is, what should change about him. But as a fellow brother, I respect him. So let's talk about Mordekaiser's skills, the new ones, and compare them to current Mordekaiser and talk about why they're good or bad. And honestly, we're going to start right off with the one everyone's talking about, the one everybody's started up the hype train for, that everyone's all aboard, drinking the Kool-Aid, screaming, Shadow Realm, 1v1 me, bro! It's all fun for everybody, especially those that don't understand Mordekaiser's difficulties. But even the Mordekaiser main community is hyped up about this. And even I, in my pessimism, in my cynicism, in my gatekeepism, even I found some of those memes hilarious. And when I saw the ultimate, when I saw how beautiful it looked, the VFX effects were incredible. When I saw it, even I felt awed. I got excited despite myself. However, if you think about it logically, if you really apply some critical thinking to it, Mordekaiser's new ultimate is not good. And here are a couple of reasons why. 1. People are so hyped up about the fact that you can take the most fed person off the enemy team, or the most essential person to their team fight off the team. However it is they're winning team fights. Maybe it's the Hecarim ultimate. Maybe it's the Nami peel. Maybe it's the Vayne that's hard carrying everybody. You take them out of the team fight. All well and good. Now your teammate stands a chance, right? Except you're gone too. It's a 4v4, and you're trusting your teammates to win a team fight without you. What if you're the most fed person on your team? What if you're the most important person on your team? Because I don't know about you, but I intend to be a carry, not a utility champion. That's why I play Mordekaiser. Okay? 2. They're going to kite your ass for 7 seconds. They're not going to 1v1. You give it 1 week after Mordekaiser Rework goes live. In the first week, sure, people are going to be hyped up. They're going to try to fight Mordekaiser, and they're going to die. Mordekaiser is going to be super OP, and everyone's going to be crying for nerfs. But give it a week, everybody. Give it 1 week, and people are going to wise up. They're going to stop trying to fight Mordekaiser. They're going to pick champions that can gap close, CC Mordekaiser, kite him for 7 seconds. And then what? Did your teammate win the team fight without you? Maybe. Or maybe your ultimate's just useless. That's one thing I really hate about this rework, is I have been yearning for old Mordekaiser. I told you I played him since 2010, so I definitely played a lot of pre-2015 Mordekaiser. I miss the Mordekaiser that did not need his team for anything. Current Mordekaiser is literally a wheelchair general. He's very, very powerful if you get behind him and push. And that means teammates understanding what Mordekaiser can do and understanding how to play around him. If you can play around your Mordekaiser, I could have a Bronze 4 jungler. If I had a Bronze 4 jungler that understood how to play with Mordekaiser, I would rather play with them than a challenger jungler who doesn't know how to play with Mordekaiser. I would take the Bronze any day because the macro potential on Mordekaiser is incredible. But here's the thing. While I have adapted to this meta of needing my teammates, of trying to work with them, top lane is a funny lane because most people who play top don't group that often. It's the island lane for a reason. People play this lane for the most part because they want to solo, because they want to carry the game on their own terms. And that's what I like, or liked, about Mordekaiser, because despite his W and despite his need for the team, he could still split push for a while. With this new ultimate, it doesn't feel like Mordekaiser is going to be much of a 1v1 champion. Everybody's saying Mordekaiser is going to be a great split pusher. But to be honest, I kind of predict people not leveling their ultimate at level 6. I predict people leveling their Q, W, and E probably until level 11 because R is not really going to be that useful in a 1v1. Towers can still hit you. You're not some god tier at diving. What's the point of ulting somebody for a couple of extra stats when they're just going to kite away? It makes more sense to level the things that will give you reliable damage. That's just my opinion on that. Another thing that's a problem with Mordekaiser's ultimate is the smiting mechanic, right? I take the enemy jungler out of the game during a major objective, and they can't smite. Cool. Until it gets nerfed to the ground, and either the duration of his ultimate is decreased, currently at 7 seconds, people, or, worse, they allow junglers to smite objectives while in the death realm, right? So we get this little seesaw action here, right? When Mordekaiser is released, all the pros are going to be banning him and or picking him. After people see how great Mordekaiser is, the lower ELOs are going to start playing him. The lower ELOs are going to start learning from the higher ELOs. Everybody's going to play Mordekaiser because it's broken and it's everybody's flavor of the month, all right? And then it's going to get nerfed. It's going to get nerfed so bad they're going to break his legs that he's no longer viable anywhere. Look at Rise mains, all right? You go onto their Discord channel, you go onto their subreddit any day, and all of them will tell you they fear the day when Rise reaches 50% win rate because they know that Riot Games is going to nerf them again. And they love their champion. They stick with him through thick and thin, but hell, they really wish they could climb with him consistently. And that's the thing that really frustrates me throughout this entire ordeal. Sure, we might get a couple new Mordekaiser mains, but most people are going to play him for a week, maybe a month, abuse him while he's OP, and then when he gets nerfed to the ground, they're going to drop him like yesterday's fashion trend, and they're not going to pick him up again ever. Riot Games is reworking Mordekaiser for those people. He's not reworking them for the Mordekaiser mains. And that's the worst part about this, because when he's nerfed to the ground, we're the ones who still have to play him. And that's really frustrating to me. Other things to draw your attention to. Mordekaiser only has 2 damaging spells. His Q and his W. His passive will deal damage if you manage to auto-attack the enemy. However, that passive is completely useless against ranged champions, which, guess what, are very common top lane. Popular counterpicks to Mordekaiser are Kleptomancy Karma, right? That's so much fun when she farms 450 gold off you within the first 4 minutes of the game. You got Kennen top, you got Jace top, you got Nico top, that's cancer to play against. You got Vayne top, all right? Sure, they give Mordekaiser an E, which grabs everybody to you, but you still got to land it. And while it looks pretty fancy, I don't think it's going to be reliable at hitting people who know what it does.
And don't even get me started about the fact that Mordekaiser's E, the new one, deals no damage. So what are your options against ranged champions? Your Q is melee range. Your W is melee range. What am I supposed to take level 1 versus a ranged champion that's going to be abusing me? At least with current Mordekaiser, there's some counterplay available. I can max E in this lane for shield generation and consistent harass so that I can sort of maybe kind of win the trades. But now I have to rely on landing a skill shot to pull them to me. Any ranged champion's going to be smart enough not to let that happen. So now Mordekaiser's not even viable top lane against ranged champions. Thanks, Riot Games. Really appreciate it. Just one trick here trying to do my thing. Now I can't do my thing.
All right? Mordekaiser's always had this left-handed fencer's advantage. Nobody understood what he could do, and that's why he was overpowered. But now everyone's going to know exactly what Mordekaiser can do. And it's not going to work. People are going to kite you. You're not going to be effective. People say that your damage has gotten more consistent. I don't know about that. Feels like you can't shield yourself like you used to. Your passive's gone. Can't generate shield like you used to. Your E is gone. Your R doesn't deal damage anymore. It feels like you're going to be reliant on Q and W to deal all the damage. And you're only going to be able to deal that damage if you can land your E. If you don't land your E, you're not going to win games as Mordekaiser. And that's really frustrating. I'll say this. I loved the old Mordekaiser Q. For those that didn't know, it works a lot like the new one does. Old Mordekaiser Q, you cast it, it channels electricity or soul-stealing power, whatever you want to call it, into Nightfall, Mordekaiser's mace. You saw the electric sparks, right? If you auto-attacked a minion wave or a champion with minions around it, it would hit the target you auto-attacked, and it would splash onto all the targets around. And it would deal damage and you generate shield. Very nice. If you auto-attacked with the Q primed a single target, it would deal a whopping amount of damage, a bonus amount of damage, and it would be very powerful. It was very satisfying, right? I didn't really like the new Mordekaiser Q, the triple auto-attack. So I will say that for the rework, I actually am excited to see Mordekaiser's new Q, old Q, in action. I want to see exactly how it works because it looks a little janky, but I'm sure I could get used to it. Mordekaiser's W seems really interesting. It's like it's their way of appeasing people like me who loved the Iron Man passive. You take 25% less damage at max rank, right? And a portion of the damage you deal as well as the damage you take can be converted into a shield, and 50% of that can heal you. That seems pretty powerful if used correctly, but I don't know how to use it yet. So it's hard to say if I'm going to like it or not. Like I said before, the E seems to have a very fast cast time. It seems like a decent CC, but I don't know how reliable it is. As long as it doesn't damage the enemy wave, that's pretty nice because you can push them out of the way and snatch the person to you. That's nice. I like that. But I don't know how well all of these things are going to work together, and that's something that frustrates me. But more than anything, I miss the ability to micro ghosts. I miss that so much. And I don't know if I'm going to enjoy new Mordekaiser. If I don't enjoy Mordekaiser, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, my entire stream, everything about me on League of Legends is about Mordekaiser. Every single one of my accounts, and I've got 11 of them, people, every single one of them has a Mordekaiser themed name. And while most people who don't know me are going to think I'm one of those fucking posers who named themselves Yumi, Best Yumi NA the day she was released, I mean, whatever. It's going to be embarrassing when I don't even play Mordekaiser anymore and I got a Mordekaiser one-trick name. I'm not going to change all of my account names, obviously. But I don't know. Should I play Mordekaiser? Obviously, I'm going to give him a chance. Have I been closed-minded about the rework? Yes, I have. But I think I'm right about the ult. I think it's going to be incredibly underwhelming. I think it has the potential to be way too broken. And I think it's not good for the stability of the game, and I'm frustrated that it's a thing. I wish there was a better way to code Mordekaiser so that we could use his ultimate. But I've said enough. My voice is sore, and I still have to edit this video into something attractive to the eye so that people will watch it and maybe share it so that my voice can be heard by more than just the 150 people that regularly watch my videos. That'd be nice. If you're new here, I've been doing this for a couple of years. I've hit some speed bumps in life, and my progress has really slowed, but I'm trying to pick it back up now. If you'd be awesome, hit that subscribe button, throw me a like. If you actually liked what I had to say, I'd appreciate it. It'd mean a lot to me. Until next time, guys, this is the original Mordekaiser main, signing off. Thanks for watching.